Hey folks, this is Billy DKY, the truth seeker that simplifies and demystifies. This is going to be UFC 105 post-fight commentary. Start off with the first fight, Randy Couture versus Brandon Vera. So the question I asked myself, what did this fight tell us? And before I do that, let me start off. As soon as they showed Randy Couture walking in for the fight and somebody said something from behind him, he did this. I call that the old man's neck. Because you can't bend your neck around enough so you turn your spine. Which a young man, if you say something from behind, he's going to do this. Again, Randy is getting old. Come to terms with it. So the first thing I think that this fight told us is that Randy is still competitive, but he's old. He is getting old. He doesn't have that many more fights in the UFC. And if you love Randy, appreciate the fights that you have, because you probably only got 2 or 3 at the most. The decision. I do not agree with the decision. And I don't judge it on round by round by round like the judges do. I base it on this criteria. Who would you rather be? Or who did the most damage? And Brandon Vera obviously did the most damage. You know, Randy, I call it the wrestler slowdown. But anyway, I don't agree with the decision. I think Brandon won it. Obviously, it could have went to Randy. I mean, it's not super controversial, but anyway, let's see. Next point. If they fought again, I believe Brandon Vera would finish Randy Couture. In fact, I believe he could have finished him this time, but he needed to not get in close once he had him hurt. He should have kept his distance and not allowed Randy to pull him in. And a couple times when he clinched with him, he should have, once he was on the outside of that clinch, pushed away and went to striking again, because I think he could have ended that with a couple more kicks. It could have been over. So that's the point on that. And then let's see what else I want to say. If Randy, I do not believe Randy Couture has what it takes to beat Machida. I just don't. I think Machida's too elusive. I don't think he'll be able to get his hands on him. And second of all, if he does get his hands on him, I'm not convinced he can hold Machida, because you know, when Tito grabbed Machida tossed him. Machida's good at tossing guys and using more of an Aikido kind of throw or Judo kind of throw to get him off of him. So I believe if he fights Machida, that'll be his last fight. I really do. So, anyway, that's enough said on that. And that fight, in my opinion, was sort of boring, but it told us a little bit. Brandon's obviously a top guy, and I think Randy's out. That's what it told us. Okay, so what did the Mike Swick and Dan Harding fight teach us? It taught us that Mike Swick will not be the champion. He'll never be champion in either category of 170 or 185. What it tells us about Dan Harding? It tells us that Dan Harding is ready to move up to the next level of competition, which, if that's not GSP, I could see him fighting other people, but I think he could knock GSP out. However, I'm not convinced he can keep GSP off of him to keep him on the ground. So it'd be an interesting fight. I think there's still some tough guys that Dan Harding could fight that would probably whip him. Maybe Thiago Alves, and can't think of any other ones off the top of my head. Like even Josh Koscheck or Anthony Rumble Johnson. So that I'm not really for sure. I don't really know if he's ready for GSP, really, but they're probably going to throw him up there anyway. Anyway, next fight. Michael Bisping versus Dennis Kang. What did this fight teach us? It taught us that Dennis Kang is not a top 5 guy in that weight category. It also taught us that Michael Bisping probably is. You know, the first round, Michael Bisping looked like he was in bad shape, but then you come out in the second round, Dennis Kang looked tired that second round, and you could almost tell he's over. And after the first takedown, basically, if you're used to playing chess, it looked like a checkmate in 8 moves, which basically, if you're not used to chess, it means no matter what you do, in 8 moves or less, you will be checkmated. It is basically checkmate at that point. And but anyway, it was a good fight, and I think it pushes Bisping right back up to where he was at. So let's go on to the next fight. James Wilkes versus Matt Brown. This fight, I predicted that James Wilkes would win this fight decisively in the first round. However, as soon as James Wilkes stepped in that ring and they showed him, I was like, something don't look right about him. I don't know, just low energy, like he'd been sick or trouble with cutting weight. He just didn't look good, didn't look springy. And after it started, I mean, it's basically what I was seeing from the beginning. Matt Brown looked fine. Matt Brown did a great job beating him down, and you could see several times that James Wilkes wanted to quit, but he didn't allow himself to quit. Even from the first round on. But eventually, he just had enough and he wanted out. So, I have to give props to Matt Brown. I don't know. Like I said, I feel like something was wrong with James Wilkes. Something wasn't right in his life. I don't know what it was. He didn't look the same. Okay, next fight. Ross Pearson versus Aaron Riley. And this is sort of the same situation in the last fight. Aaron Riley just did not look right. He looked like he looked lethargic. He didn't look confident. I don't know if he came with an injury. I don't know if he had trouble cutting weight. Something wasn't right. And, maybe it was Ross Pearson was that good that put him scared, made him all those things. I don't know. I don't think so. However, don't get me wrong. Ross Pearson put on a dominating performance, and I think it's going to move him up in the 155, and I think he's ready for some tougher competition. But, I don't know, something didn't look right. Him and Wilkes both. Something just wasn't right. So anyway, next fight. Andre Winter versus Rolando Delgado. I think Andre Winter showed some good hands. But I didn't really like him hitting Delgado after he obviously knocked him out. I mean, the guy was just laying there, and then he boom, hits him a couple more shots. It looked like he hit him a couple more shots if the ref wouldn't have pulled him off of him. And basically, I think it's a sign of low character. Even though Andre Winters won the fight, in my opinion, he lost because he showed low character on a global stage, which is never a good thing. So, even though he won the fight, I think in the end he was a loser. So, and like I say, it's just a sign of poor character, and hopefully he'll grow up and learn to be a better man. Okay, next fight, Alexander Gustafsson and Jared Hammond. Not really a whole lot to say. Funny, I thought they were 155ers until I looked at my fighting chart, and they're 205ers, and it was basically because they were so tall. But I did have one. This is more of a wisdom than anything else that I learned during this fight. A man celebrates a victory because of ego. A man, is sad, depressed, in defeat because of ego. A man competes because of ego. So basically, if you're interested in like truth kind of stuff, really avoid the whole scenario. You don't have to go on the roller coaster of being high when you win, lows when you lose, and all the injuries involved. If you just avoided the ego from the very beginning, you could avoid the fight, avoided all the defeats and glories and all this and back and forth and depressions, and you could have just been even killed your whole life. That's what you really want. Anyway, that's enough of that. If you wouldn't mind rating the video, and later, folks.